Hello, this is Ashton. Welcome back with Tech DenMac. Let's talk about source control. What is source control? Source control is actually what it sounds like, where you're controlling the source, your code, you're knowing how many commits you've done, which is a commit is how many changes have you done to your code. And it's really good to have a central location of where you manage your code, where you control the changes, where you can actually look and see who added to your code. You can go backwards where you won't have to figure out, oh, what did I change here? Something to actually highlight your code and let you know what is the status of your code, what is the structure of your code, who's made changes, who can you blame for a bug or a defect, who can you blame for an exploit. Also, it's kind of like securing the source of your code to have a copy somewhere, some central location. It enables you to work with multiple different people to work on the same source code at the same time, and allow that ability for that code to be saved, and also allow different gates to, according to how you want your code to change, when you want it to change, your release process, deploying process. I can go on and on how source control is very beneficial. I'm sure you're a college student, you've lost, or you might be a college student, you've lost code in the past on a file system, you can't find it, or you get into this thing where you made a change and don't know where you made the change at. So source control can actually mitigate a type of problem like that and many more problems. So let's take a look at the different platforms when dealing with source control. You have Bitbucket out here by Atlassian, which is one of my favorites. You can get a free, anyone can get a free account. And if you do a free account, you can get up to 5 users, which will consider those 5 users as your team, who you collaborate with. You get some build minutes. That's kind of advanced subject. Storage files is an advanced subject at this point. I want to focus more on how to use source control and what it's for and where it's at, how you can find it, how you can sign up for it. So you can actually go to the Get It For Free. You type in you can type in your credentials, you make an account, password, no credit card needed, and then you go from there just to get it set up. So this is Atlassian's Bitbucket. I'm a big fan of Atlassian's Bitbucket. You have another one out there, which is GitHub. I don't use too much of GitHub, but I do have some source control out there for GitHub. Some sources stored in the GitHub. You get unlimited public and private repositories, which is great. It used to be where you only can do public repositories, but they changed it. I'm glad they did, because that's why I started using Bitbucket, because I like the private repositories. And then they have a couple other perks in here for free. 2,000 automation minutes a month, which is a big deal. 500 megabytes of package storage, and then community support, like with most things. The community, that's the thing about open source. This is not particularly open source, but you get a crowdsource of support, where you don't have to go to that company. You can actually go to someone who may have done some who may have worked on that particular tool or something like that. Okay, but it's a community support where they actually support you in any issues you have. Very rarely you have some issues. Sometimes it's a thing where a misunderstanding on how the platform works most of the time. So then you have GitLab, which is a big giant right now. GitLab is very feature rich, just like the other two, but if you notice in these different platforms, you get different feature abilities. Okay, I like the direction that GitLab is going. It's going more DevOpsy. They're diving deeper and deeper into DevOps, and pretty much source control is a basic component of DevOps. So then let's talk about source control. Let's talk about Git Flow. Okay, So in source control, you can actually, I'm going to kind of water it down a bit. You can make different directories. You can version those directories. You can actually say what directory is the true copy of what everyone is actually using. Source control also allows you to put a version of the source away so you can test it in-house, or other people test it, do beta test it, and then you can release it once you're confident that your source is production ready. That means that you're comfortable with everyone using it. It's secure, it's safe. Remember, anything can be exploited. Okay. So right here is a website that I use for Git Flow to give you a better understanding of how Git works. The implementation, a good implementation of source control works. You can make your own implementation. Sometimes if it's just you just make one branch. I like to do multiple branches so I won't have to jump through commits. And by the way, commits are pretty much segments of code that you put into that you have put into a certain version, and it actually tracks, and you have to put messages and comments as to what that is, what the code does. In some cases, some organizations are strict and some aren't. Okay, so right here, say we have this development branch, and this is where all the developers are. Okay, and as you shift over, it's more production ready. So usually your master branch is the true copy of what really works and what's stable. And then you can actually make some things out here like tags and stuff like that for like an actual release. Okay, just to dumb it down a bit, just to make it kind of simple. It can get complicated at times too. Okay, so it'd be good to look through this site right here, which is Git Flow. You can Google Git Flow and try to understand what source control really is. Okay. So like I said, source control is a good thing to have. You can go backwards and forwards. You can see who committed what. We got this thing that's called blame. So if something goes wrong with some source, you can actually see who actually put those lines of code into that source. So this is something that's like really good to research. I recommend it to college students, anyone that's starting out. This is industry standard. Gets you more acquainted with how SDLC works, software development lifecycle works, how this fits into the software development lifecycle, which is kind of like some advanced subjects once you start to learn streamlining work and stuff like that. So that is the first take of source control.